Can I start or you want to?
Sir, MCs will be introducing you and then we will give the floor to you. MCs, are we ready? Shreya?
Yeah, 1 minute. Just setting up audio.
Okay, on your go, we will be starting.
Am I audible, Saharsh?
Yeah, Shreya, please go ahead.
Research is messy because humans are. We must be open and vulnerable about this. Welcome aboard, fellow research enthusiasts. Good afternoon to one and all present here. On behalf of Checked It, I, Shreya, am here to welcome all of you to the 6th day of the International Research Consortium, world's first approach towards experimental growth. The future of research awaits us, and so does the unexplored horizons. The flame, the curiosity to keep going, and to uncover new secrets of the world must always go on. We're here today to find out what we can contribute more to the world of research. Supposition might be good, but nothing is better than the taste of success. Here on this stage, you are free to question anything you want, since it's not the question that enlightens us, but the question is. This consortium will give you the code to open the doors behind which lies an ocean of opportunities that you can never get enough of. So take in what Checked It Here offers you, and someday we will be introducing you to the minds of the time. The consortium is brought to you in collaboration with ACM, LNM, IIT Jaipur, Heartfulness Organization, BMSC, ECEL, IIT Mandi, IEEE, BMSC, CodeChef, Microsoft Innovations Club, Music Club, Dance Club, Dramatics Club, VIT Chennai, Skillanta, Otis LPU, and Affinity Branding, along with our sponsors, Variable Motors and EduJect. Checkit brings to you yet another magnificent opportunity to traverse the professional world, its mega internship program, where talented young individuals who thrive to bring revolution in the society can be an integral part of Checked. Upon completion of the internship period, Checked has provided safe and fun learning and working experience with thousands of courses to enable team members to realize their potential. Exceptional candidates can also secure a glorious letter of recommendation and certificate of completion. You can find out more about this at our website. Link is in the chat. Also note, participant certificates will only be issued if you have attended at least 10 hours of the session in the consortium. So kindly fill the feedback form for the same. Now, without any further delay, let us meet today's speaker, Mr. Arvind Kamath. He is a graduate of IIM Bangalore. Mr. Kamath specializes in EMI and electromagnetic compatibility. He is also the founder and director of EMC Engineers, a multidisciplined consulting engineering firm providing services in the United States. With 10 offices throughout Georgia, EMC is strategically located to provide local planning, surveying, fostering relationships through client-centered engineering, and serving solutions. Mr. Kamath has published multiple papers on EM and other multidisciplinary subjects. So please take it ahead, sir, and enlighten us. Also note, there is an audience watching us from YouTube Live.
Thank you, Shreya. Thanks to the organizers and my dear friends. So today's topic is India ready to design products for international market? So I will briefly run through the contents. So first I'll take a case study on LCA Tejas. I was fortunate to work for this LCA Tejas program in the year 96 to 2006 as a scientist E in Aeronautical Development Agency, Ministry of Defense. So I will take this as a small case study to show how much technology we could generate in LCA Tejas. And next I'm going to, I think all are muted, right? So is India at par with China and US in terms of technology? We will take the example of artificial intelligence. And then also I'm going to talk on expectation from educational institutions, assuming that most of the participants are from educational institutions and students. And also I will take another case study, international regulations and product certifications. So this is again based on my particular area of work. And finally, we can, if time permits, we can briefly speak on spirituality also. So here we go, we'll talk about LCA Tejas. So how India can become technology superpower. We'll take this LCA Tejas case study. So I'll show a brief video on LCA. Hope you are able to see. So this is LCA Tejas. So how did LCA Tejas contribute to building of technology in India? So we'll see some features of this LCA Tejas. This is the powerhouse of technology. One can get anywhere in the world. So it is a weapon system and avionics management system wherein the pilot machine integration has been done in a formidable way. That means it is an integrated machine which can work seamlessly. It is a truly designed multi-role aircraft. You would know what is multi-role aircraft, say air to air, air to ground, or anything like that. It is a multi-role aircraft. So this program started in 1984 and first flight of LCA Tejas took place in 2001. And it has been inducted to Air Force now, and series production is taking place. So we have jumped from first generation technology to directly fourth gen technology because other countries started their fighter aircraft programs early 1910 and so on. But India started only in 1984 with nothing, no technology of the past. So we started afresh and we then straight away went to fourth gen technology. So what are the features of this LCA? So we could analyze, design, fabricate, and qualify the aircraft. For example, 90% of the aircraft is made up of advanced carbon composites. It is a all digital flight control system. It means it has a digital flight computer and the control law is implemented, which is a prohibited technology, and we could develop our own technology on this. It has a indigenous radar. It has actuators. So India is the only second country in the world to develop fighter aircraft actuators. Moog Aerospace is one such company which develops actuators, and India is the only second country. So digital avionics and digital cockpit. So LCA has all LRUs, that is line replaceable units or control units, integrated digitally. Even the utility systems such as fuel, hydraulics, landing system, all are computer controlled. So this is about LCA. Now let us see how LCA contributed to building of technology, that is how indigenous development versus say manufacturing or importing of say fighter aircraft. What is the difference? Why we should develop our own technology? So if we develop our own technology, it builds the entire ecosystem. Whereas if we import a fighter aircraft, technology lies with the country of origin. Technology can be reused for other domains. So there are a lot of technology that is developed for LCA, as I mentioned earlier, maybe carbon composites or maybe flight control system and so on. Every technology can be reused for other domains in the sense aircraft domains. Suppose we develop a 5th generation fighter aircraft, we can reuse our old technology, old experience and so on. So wherein if we import a technology, then we do not have anything on our own. So there is no question of reusing it. What is more important is it enables the younger population with greater technological contributions. That means you too can directly get involved with the development. Many colleges are directly involved in development of technology of LCA. So you too or your college too can be one. However, if you manufacture it in-house or if you assemble the aircraft based on the foreign technology, it generates technician class only. And what is more important is 100 to say 10 to 100 times cheaper is the cost. Wherein if you import, it will be more by even 100 times. So this is the importance of building our own technology. You can see here, so many companies got involved in developing LCA. It is not just one agency. For example, I was responsible for the communication system of LCA. I was responsible for electromagnetic compatibility testing of LCA. I was also responsible for say augmentation of telemetry system and many other communication LRUs and antennas. So they were developed at different places. For example, the EMI-MC, whatever test facility we developed was indigenous, developed by ADA. Whereas the communication system was developed by SLRDC HL Hyderabad. Like that, every technology is developed within the country and country becomes richer because the technology lies with our own country. So that is the importance of developing such programs in-house or indigenous. So next thing is India at par with China or US in terms of technology? We'll take the example of artificial intelligence. So in the past, for few hundred years, India was ruled by East India Company and finally Great Britain, and they controlled our kings. And in the immediate past, whoever controls the oil can control the world was the buzzword. So at the present, what is happening? Whoever is the AI superpower can control the world. So we have to develop technology based on artificial intelligence. So it is very important now. These data aggregators can manipulate public behavior. So controlling of the data is more important, such as, for example, Google, Twitter, Facebook. So in India, now we have a data privacy bill coming up. In many countries, data should pass through the government servers because it can control so many other things. So there is a need to provide alternate platform with local algorithms. We should have various platforms. We should not depend on one platform. So militarily also it is very important, okay, because the data aggregators can manipulate military decisions. So the country should have control over the data. So this artificial intelligence, it may contain machine learning, it may contain neural networks, deep learning. The topic is not to learn about artificial intelligence, but how it will contribute to the technology, how it can make us the technological superpower. So we have got big data, we have got machine learning, we have got AI models. So based on big data, we learn, develop the algorithms, then we will make the models and run the apps based on these models. So this is how it works, and we keep improving them. So we become smarter and smarter. So applications are built on various things like Google, YouTube. They will collect general interest information from the users, Amazon purchase history, and so on. You will be knowing better than me on this. So how the applications are built and where is India? Because we can see that most of these applications are built by non-Indian companies, and they will own the data, and based on the data, they will make the decisions and they can sell the data. So where is India here? This is the question I put to you. You may say that the CEOs of many of these companies are Indians. That is fine. The CEOs may be Indians, but they are working not for India, but for the company, and the data does not get owned by the country. So the future is quantum computers. This may be 100 million times faster, 1/5 of the power consumption than the present one, and highly miniaturized. And militarily also it is very important. Wars are now hybrid wars. Whoever can manipulate data and can manipulate the decision of the military can win the war. With advanced quantum computing, with click of the button, one can hack military networks by breaking the passwords. That is the power of quantum computers. So race for quantum computer wins the race for military supremacy. So let us see further who has made the progress in quantum computer. IBM, Intel, Google, Microsoft, they have their own quantum computing lab. They have their own supercomputing systems, photonic systems, quantum dots, etc. So US spends $1 billion per annum, but now they have increased it 4 times, maybe even more than that, by the Biden government. So Chinese National Lab for Quantum Infoscience is spending $10 billion per annum on quantum computing. Many of the VCs, they are spending billions of dollars. It was as on 2018. And Department of Defense of US spent more than $6 billion on this artificial intelligence. So how much is India spending on this? So India is not even in the top 10 in quantum computing. There are a lot of research being done at various institutions, IASC and other places, but still we are not in the top 10. The session is about R&D. So India has already become a $3 trillion GDP country, whereas China is a $15 trillion GDP country. India R&D budget is only 5.5% of the GDP, and China it is about 2% of the GDP. GDP is already 15 times more in China. So is it sufficient? Are we making progress in R&D, or are we just happy with the manufacturing? I already told you about the LC example, how a program can generate technology, and importing or manufacturing will not generate technology. Only indigenous development can develop technology. So we'll see about the education, because most of you, I assume, that are from student community. So what should we do in education now? What I have seen is students are good at coding, but not in innovation. Here, what I mean, I will explain, because a couple of years back, not very far, but recently 2 years back, I was asked for one of the student project program to become a judge. That was in BMSC, and I was very happy that the students were presenting and had a lot of ideas in innovation. So every student team had come up with very good innovation ideas. It is not that students are bad in innovation, what I mean, but there should be ample of opportunities for the students to take up innovation. What I have observed, because I am also in the committee, syllabus committee of some of the colleges, what I have seen is that the students are loaded heavily with subjects. They don't have time to spend for their hobby projects. They don't have time to spend for innovation projects because they are fully loaded with the topics. Say 6 theory, 2 practicals, I don't know how many you have per semester. So you don't have any time to do your own project, but your project should, I would say, based on my experience, your project should start right from at least, say, 2nd semester or 3rd semester. So you should start doing your own hobby projects. But where is the time? So we end up in making students good in coding, but not in innovation. Next is education industry defense alliance is very less in India compared to US. You can see the figure on the right side. So there should be very close interaction between the industry, R&D, defense, and academia. For example, I work on electromagnetic compatibility, and I get very challenging projects from the industry to solve the problem of various products. I cannot explain the projects which we handle here, but we get very, very challenging projects from the industry. And once I wrote to many engineering colleges, including IITs, that if the college wants to collaborate with us, we can give the projects to the colleges and the students. And then we can give the projects to them, and they can solve some very challenging tasks in the industry. I did not get even a single reply from the principals and head of the departments, because all are busy with day-to-day activities, all are busy with fighting with COVID and so on. So there should be very close bond between defense, industry, R&D, and academia, which is, I would say, lacking in India. And in the technical universities, upskilling is needed and not humanities block and social science blocks. It is not for technical universities, but what we are seeing in the technical universities, they are having topics on humanities, they are having on social science. Why it should be called as a technical university? Because we don't develop technology, we will not become a good technical university. I will take a case study. So this is the area in which I am working. This is international regulations and product certifications. And where do we stand? If you want to develop a product for any country like Europe, US, China, etc., that certified product needs to be qualified for safety. The certified product needs to be qualified for electromagnetic compatibility, energy efficiency. ROHS means what is the prohibited metal content in the product, like lead content in your PCB and soldering, ROHS. And how do you discard the material after its life cycle, WEEE, and also on wireless certification. Because if you are developing a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or Zigbee, LoRa, or any other Wi-Fi product, wireless product, then you need to qualify your product for such standards. So that means if you are, let us say you are developing a product for any country in the world, it needs to get qualified for all these standards. So every country have their own standard. So any product for that matter, electronic product, maybe computers or toys or vehicle, anything for that matter, every product needs to be qualified for the particular country's regulation. And where do we stand? You can see these symbols which you had already seen. If you have not seen, probably you can use your adapter, power adapter of your laptop, and then just see on the backside of that. You will see such symbols here. And my specialization is in getting your product qualified for such standards, symbols. So if you are developing a product for Europe, it is C. It should have the C symbol on the product. If you are developing a product for US, it should have a FCC symbol on that. They are all electromagnetic compatibility standards. So for India, is there any standard? We'll see later. So India has a standard only for automotive industry. That means your vehicles. If you are driving a vehicle, you have got engine control systems, you have got brake control systems, you have got so many other electronic ECUs, electronic control units. So your automotive has so much of electronics that it is about 70% of your automobile is electronics now. So India automotive industry, it is mandatory to qualify your product for EMC standards of India. It is called as AIS 004. However, there is no standard in India for any other product, including your computer, not computer, including your, home appliances or medical equipments. There is no standard from the government saying that you have to qualify for electromagnetic compatibility. That means you can emit as much of radiation as you want. This EMI EMC is a standard which restricts your equipment from emitting electromagnetically beyond certain limits. And also it should be compatible, means it should not malfunction with the electromagnetic environment. But in India, there is no such standard for consumer, medical, or you name it. However, when we developed LCA Tejas, we voluntarily qualified LCA Tejas for US Department of Defense military standard, that is MIL standard 461. So Indian LCA is qualified, and all the products from ISRO, they are qualified for military standards. So they are voluntarily done by the agencies. So why it is important to qualify your product for electromagnetic compatibility? Because it has high density electronics. That means your radiation from the equipment will be higher. You have got high speed switching. I will not go to the details of this, but if somebody is interested, I can give some introductory session on this. It has high data rate because day by day data rate is going from megahertz to gigahertz. And one has to qualify the products in harsh environments. What is this harsh environment? If you see a vehicle will operate in a very harsh environment. It has, as I told you, it has various engine control units. It has anti-lock braking, it has navigation, wherein it has to work with, say, ignition system, several volts per 100 volts per meter, ignition system, alternators, and so on. So it is working in a harsh environment. That means you cannot expect your engine control unit to malfunction in a harsh environment. This is how is the environment within the vehicle. You can see here, when you crank your vehicle in the morning, let us say your battery is slightly old or older than some 2 years. Then what happens when you crank your vehicle in the morning, the voltage will drop, say, to 6 volts. Still your electronics in the car should not malfunction when the voltage drops when you crank. Otherwise, you cannot start your vehicle. Then let us say your connection, battery to the alternator connection is not okay. So what will happen? Alternator is an inductive load. And when the inductive load gets loose, that means there will be discontinuity in the inductive load. Then there is what is called as load dump. That means when you run your vehicle with a loose contact in the battery, there will be a load dump. Similarly, your ignition system, load dump is a very high current, high energy waveform. That means your equipment should qualify for load dump. Then your equipments in the car should also qualify for high voltage spikes. Let us say your car does not start, then you connect another car battery in parallel. So it is called as jump starting. So even if you connect another 12 volt plus 12 volt, 24 volt, your system should not malfunction. If you go to a garage, then the person by chance may connect the battery in reverse. Still your engine control and all the control systems of the car should not malfunction. There will be ESD spikes. Several kilovolts of ESD can be generated by person who is moving and touching various parts in the dashboard or anywhere in the car. So this, you should qualify your product for even for this. That means this is a very harsh environment, and whenever you develop the product or whenever you develop something, you should take care of such harsh environment, otherwise your product will not get sold. So why it is important? If you don't qualify your products for the regulations of that particular country, it has various impacts. One is minor impact, no loss of revenue. Let us say bike is moving in front of your house and your monitor gets affected. It is a minor impact because the bike will pass within seconds and then you may not notice it at all. Then there will be medium impact. Let us say there is a BPO operating in a ground floor, and on the top floor there is some FM station and person is transmitting from there. So this FM station may affect the BPO. The communication within the BPO may get affected. So we call it as medium impact because there is a loss of revenue. And there can be major impact. Let us take an aircraft. Aircraft is also subjected to very harsh environment. And I was responsible for taking care of this for LCA Tejas. So aircraft has to work in lightning, several kilovolts of lightning it has to handle several times a year. Suppose the aircraft is taking off from a airport, then ATC radar will be there, air traffic control radar, several megawatts of power. There may be some military installation on the way, which will also radiate several megawatts power. When the aircraft is flying, we have AEWS, that is aircraft early warning system. These are also radar, they are also radars and they will be radiating on your aircraft. That means when you develop a small system for the aircraft, it has to qualify to handle all such harsh environments. If anything happens, then there can be death or injury, major loss of revenue. So I'll give you two examples of how systems have failed in the past. Before that, this is a general picture. What is electromagnetic compatibility? That is electromagnetic interference and electromagnetic susceptibility should be controlled. That is electromagnetic compatibility. So when you develop any product, any electronic product or electrical product, what we have seen is in your early samples, say your first sample that you develop, prototype we call it, your first prototype, we call it as B sample. 50% of the time it will fail in the electromagnetic compatibility tests. Then you fix the problems in C sample, it will again fail about 77% of the time. When we go to series production, your product may fail about 2% of the time. This is based on the experience and based on several publications I'm telling you. So the later you detect the problem, more the loss is for the company. Many times the program will get closed because you are not able to solve the problem. So in the design phase, if you incorporate the mitigation for various harsh environments, then what happens? Your system can be qualified with lowest cost. In the testing phase, if you incorporate mitigation techniques, then your cost of development will be, cost of the product will be higher. And in the production phase, you start thinking of mitigation. Then it will be too late because you have to redevelop the product. You have to redevelop the design. You have to redevelop, you redo the testing. So cost of the product will become very high. So later is the mitigation technique you incorporate in your design, R&D, then more is the cost. So you should be very careful when you do a R&D because many of the companies, startups, do not know about this. They will develop a product. Then when they want to sell it, they will come to know that this and this country have this and this regulation. They will rush their product to the lab and get it tested for qualification and it will fail. Then the project is closed. So I will give one example. This is a case of US Navy ship, aircraft carrier USS Forrestal. Once fire broke out in USS Forrestal, which is a ship carrying aircrafts like our INS Vikramaditya and so on. What happened? A missile from F-4 Phantom aircraft got unintentionally triggered, and it went and hit another aircraft on board, that was A-4 Skyhawk aircraft. Since the missile hit that A-4 Skyhawk aircraft, it dropped a 1,000-pound bomb, and whatever fire broke out due to this lasted for 13 hours, and 134 servicemen lost their life. What was the reason for this mishap? Because this F-4 Phantom aircraft was not qualified for EMC, fully qualified for EMC, and because of the high power radars and ATC radars in the on board of the ship, what happened? Missile got triggered unintentionally. That was the reason for the mishap. That means surveillance radar illuminated F-4 aircraft while it was waiting for takeoff. That means whichever system you are developing, it is very critical. Even though you are doing the R&D, you should also know what is needed for the industry. Another example, HMS Sheffield accident. HMS Sheffield was owned by Great Britain, and there was war between Britain and Argentina. So this ship was parked in Argentinian Sea in the Falkland Islands during the conflict between Britain and Argentina. So the ship was very far away from Britain, and they needed to communicate with Britain because it belonged to them. Every now and then they had to communicate with Britain. Unfortunately, the problem with the ship was the communication system of this ship was not compatible with missile tracking system of the ship. That means when you operate the communication system of the ship, it will interfere with the missile tracking system, or if you operated the missile tracking system, probably it interfered with the communication system. That means you cannot operate both of them together. It is called as intra-system EMC. So both of them cannot work together properly. So they have to switch off one when they operate the other. That means they have to switch off the communication system when they use the missile tracking, or they had to switch off the missile tracking system when they operated the communication. So what happened? One morning, when they had switched off the missile tracking system because they had to communicate with UK, then a missile from Argentina came and hit the ship. There was a big accident because of this, and 20 people lost their life because of the missile attack. Because when the missile system was not working, because they are communicating with Britain, they had a missile attack. So whichever product you are developing, be it IC, be it a subsystem, be it a system, whichever system you are developing, what happens? You have to qualify it for the necessary standards. So it is very important. So there are various standards, international standards. I'm not going to talk about this more, because if you want anything, probably I can conduct a separate session for your college free of cost. So European norms. These are the European standards, which is followed by 34 member countries. India also, there are some standards, as I told you earlier. BIS is only a safety standard, but not EMC standard. WPC is a wireless standard. It is not a standard, but it is just like your RTO office, which will issue some certificates, is WPC. Then AIS is a genuine automotive industry standard in India. They have their own laboratories, everything, and you can get your product, automotive product, tested here. So US have their own standards. So I told about this earlier. Every country have their own regulations, and you should qualify your product for that. And finally, I think I have a few more minutes. I can go on like this, but how to plan your product design. I'm talking here about your product design as a hardware, maybe as a software also, as a whole, as a system. Planning your product design for a system. So you will be initially developing your schematics. You will be designing your product schematics. Then you will be designing your PCBs. Once the PCB is ready, you will put the components and flash the software into that. And then finally it goes to testing. Various tests are there, environmental tests are there. I told you in the beginning, safety tests are there, EMC tests are there. My specialization is EMC testing, design and testing. So suppose you fail the test, then you need to debug. You have to do board level debugging, product level debugging, solve the problem. That's where I get a lot of problem from the industry. People will come to me saying that my product is failing. Even tier 1 companies, OEMs will come to me and ask for solutions. So we run a lot of 3D simulation packages in various stages. In design stage, PCB design stage, testing phase, and board level debugging, we run 3D simulation softwares. They are high-end packages developed by, say, various companies like CST, Microwave Studio, and so on, HFSS. And recently, there is a very new product from India developed by a professor from Indian Institute of Science, Professor Dipanjan Gop. He has developed a new 3D simulation package called as SimYog Compliance Scope. You can check SimYog website. You can see about the products. We are distributors for this product. So in every stage, schematic review, schematic design, PCB design, testing, every stage, there are a lot of approvals needed from the experts so that your product will not get into a mess. So that is one of my job. So finally about spirituality, because when I saw your agenda for the seminars, then it was also talking about spirituality. So what is spirituality and how it will help the students? So one thing is the spirituality very much helps you to improve your concentration. Because it is my own example. I was an average student in undergraduation, but after in the final year, I started meditating. Then I did my masters and all. I was the topper in the university in the masters just because it improved my concentration. So spirituality improves your concentration. Improves your memory. You can overcome stress. It enhances your self-respect. I cannot explain more in short time here because what is self-respect? That is how much respect we give to ourselves. That means how much you feel great about yourself. Here it is not, I'm not talking about boasting yourself, but it is a feeling good factor in the sense knowing your own strengths and enhancing your strengths. It will enhance your self-respect. And you will also understand a lot of hidden laws governing life. You may become a topper in the university, you may be the first rank holder in the university, but you may fail miserably in your life because you may not understand the various laws of life. So we have to, by practicing spirituality, you will understand these laws because there are a lot of hidden laws in governing your life, because you are all young. It is not that after you become old, you have to practice spirituality. It is totally wrong. If you become old, then you will have other problems and you can never practice. Right time to practice will be at your age. That is, say, 18 plus years. So this will help the society also, building real citizens, responsible citizens. So it is not too early to practice, as I told you earlier. So with this, I can conclude today's session. And if there are some questions, I can take up. Just a second. So we are into electromagnetic compatibility research and consultancy, certification trainings, and faculty development programs. We support establishing EMC design and testing labs, support lab experiments for universities. We are distributors for indigenous 3D simulation and as I told earlier. Okay, so with this, I conclude. If you have any questions, give me a few seconds. Just a few seconds. So do you have any questions? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Oh, thank you. I thought everyone was sleeping.
No, sir, we were enjoying our session and it was an amazing session, sir. Honestly.
Okay. So thanks for being honest. So let us, if there are any questions, you can take up or I can wind up. And if somebody wants a free introductory session on electromagnetic compatibility for your college, you can always contact me. Or for any such topics.
So there is one question, sir. What MCs, can you please take it ahead? So, I guess, sir, we have one question in the chat box, if you can answer that. And sir, you are on mute, so if you're speaking.
Yeah, can you read it out?
Yeah, for sure, sir, would love to do that. So, sir, there is a question from Omkar. Sir, although we
Yeah.
built IoT, a lot of technology in the process of building Tejas, why has Indian defense system not been in demand yet?
Which one? Tejas is not demand? I don't think so. Tejas is a very good aircraft, and I think soon it will get exported to many countries. So it is one of the best aircrafts of say fourth and 4.5 generation aircraft. So you can see now BrahMos is also being bought by many countries. So it is not that there is no demand, but there should be a good marketing strategy and other things, because maybe our governments may not be so good in selling things and other things, but maybe in the future we'll have a very good demand. I don't think there will be any problem. More we develop, more we'll get.
Sure. Totally relate with that. And thank you very much, sir, for an amazing session. I will request my team to please share their screen and please present the moment of gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Mr.
Yeah, Arvind Kamath.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, thank you. So please, I will request my team to please share their screen and present the memento to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Arvind Kamath, sir, for bringing out, for taking out time out of his busy schedule. Thank you very much, sir, for your amazing session. And I am sure that whole team would have learned a lot and made many insights from your session.
Okay. Okay, then thank you so much, and be in touch with me.
Sure. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you and take care. Be healthy, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
राहुल कौन मित्र वे मतलब सोने
कसं नाही